Good evening and welcome to the 7 p.m. beginners yoga class coming at you live from the Hatha Yoga Center here in the University District in Seattle. So find a place where you can sit, maybe on the floor like I'm doing, or perhaps on a chair to begin class in a seated position. And I'm sitting up on a block, as I pretty much always do at the beginning at least. And you might want to sit up on a cushion or sit on a very firm chair. So find your seat and just allow yourself to settle into your seat and feel your spine rising up, lifting and lengthening up. And just start to bring your attention to your breath, and we'll just take a few conscious breaths here before we begin to move this evening. So just bringing yourself into the awareness of your breath, noticing what your breath feels like without changing anything if you can. You could close your eyes, or you could find a soft gaze in front of you. And then perhaps just beginning to lengthen and deepen your breath, allowing your belly to move with the breath, so bringing your inhale deeper into your body. You might feel your belly expanding a bit as you inhale, and perhaps contracting a little bit with the exhale. So just bringing a little bit more comfortable movement into your breathing. Feeling your rib cage expanding and contracting. Maybe you can allow your shoulders to relax a little bit, even as you keep your chest more open, perhaps a little bit rolling the shoulders back and down without jamming them down, just letting your shoulders relax, letting your jaw relax. And just a couple more breaths like this, really bringing yourself present for your practice this evening. And you might bring your hands together at your heart. You could set an intention for your practice this evening. Maybe bowing your head and taking a breath or two there. And then just opening the eyes if they're closed and sweeping the arms up, really reaching out and up. Lifting your gaze, bringing the hands together and back through the midline. Let's just do that 2 more times. Just sweeping your arms out like you're gathering up the air slowly. And then bringing the hands back together through center. And 1 more time. Inhaling. And then exhaling, bringing your hands back to center. Pause for a moment, taking a nice conscious breath or 2, and then bring your hands maybe to your knees and just round your spine. Let your chin drop towards your chest and draw your belly in. Exhale. Inhaling, come forward and just do a little seated cat-cow like this. Moving your spine, undulating your spine, moving through rounding and arching. Feeling how your head can move right along. And just coming back to center, and let's take an easy twist towards the left, keeping the shoulders relaxed, lengthening up. And then to the other side. And then coming back forward and maybe making some circles with your spine. So you're circling around the pelvis, letting your spine move, arching and rounding, breathing, just letting it be a natural, comfortable movement. And then switch directions. Feel your belly moving as you do this. So maybe drawing the belly in as you come back and letting it release a little as you come forward. And then just coming back to center and pause again, finding your long spine and your free and deep breathing. And then you might take your hands and just turn your fingertips towards you so that you're stretching into the wrists and the palms of your hands. I'm just going to scoot backwards a little bit. You could go a little bit side to side. And maybe just bend into one elbow and the other. You might notice that your dominant hand feels quite a bit tighter, and then just go through your fingers one at a time. Your thumb. And just noticing what your breath is doing as you're doing this seemingly simple thing with your fingers. Did you forget about your breath? Are you still breathing? And then just release that, shaking your hands. Shake it out. And release. And then let's actually come onto our back. And if you have a strap or a belt at home, you could get that right now. And also tonight, I'm gonna have use some balls. So you might have those handy if you have some kind of ball. We use the small basketballs here and maybe a tennis ball. So you might have those handy. Coming onto your back, draw your knees into your chest and just rock a little bit side to side. Just feeling the rounding of your spine. Feeling the deep fold at the front of the hips. And then taking your left foot down to the floor and bring your right foot up. Bring the strap around the sole of your right foot, keeping your foot flexed. And just starting right there, finding your neutral spine here. So that means your tailbone is pressing back towards the floor, and there's just a little bit of space under your lumbar spine. So you're staying neutral, you're not rounding up in your lower back. And that might mean that you have to back off a little bit from the stretch, the back of the leg. Your knee can be bent if it needs to be, but you can also use the strap, even if that means your leg is out here, to kind of extend your arms so that your shoulders can stay relaxed. And you could just gently kind of resist the strap with your foot as you pull your foot back towards your chest, keeping your tailbone moving towards the floor as you do that. Maybe extending your left leg. Taking some nice deep breaths here, feeling the opening in the back of the leg. And then take your strap into your right hand and maybe take your left arm out to the side. You could keep your left knee bent and let it come over to the side also for counterbalance, or you can keep it straight, your choice. And then just bringing your right leg out to the side, holding onto the strap, feeling the stretch on the inner thigh. So, taking a few breaths there. It's a little bit more work for the core if you straighten the leg out. If you do straighten your leg out, you might have a little engagement in that leg, in the muscles. So you're pressing through the heel. And then bringing your foot back up, taking the strap into the left hand and the right arm out to the side. You could let the leg come over towards the left, keeping your sacrum on the floor to begin with. Take a nice big breath as you get towards the outer edge of your ability to bring the foot over. So there's some interesting stretch on the outside of your thigh. And then you might let your lower back kind of come up and bring the foot over further, so you're in a big twist, kind of lengthening down. You can even take your thumb into the hip crease here and lengthen down through the right side of your torso and through the hip. Maybe coming all the way over. That, and for me, that means my right shoulder lifts up. And just another breath there, feeling the stretch in the front of your chest. You might even look back over the right shoulder. And then bringing that foot back up. And maybe bringing your left foot up. You could stay there for a moment with both feet up. It's kind of relaxing. And then bend your right knee, bringing the sole of your right foot to the floor, and we'll do the other side. So pressing through the heel, feeling the back of your leg, and keeping the tailbone pressing back towards the floor. So if you can relax the back of your rib cage into the floor as you breathe, allowing your lower ribs to sink towards the floor, even as you're keeping that neutral lower back with the tailbone moving towards the floor. Maybe extending your right leg, keeping it enlivened, so pressing through the heel. Nice steady breath here. And then taking strap into the left hand and the right arm out to your side. You could bring the foot over like we did on the other side, and of course you could also bend the right knee and let your knee fall over towards the right for counterbalance. Or straightening that leg, which again, it's a little bit more work in the core to keep your lower back on the floor. Breathing. Again, try to release tension in your upper back and in the rib cage against the floor. Maybe a little more engagement around the center of your body, your belly muscles and lower back. And then bringing that foot up, taking the strap in the right hand, left arm out to the side, and keeping your lower back on the floor, just bringing your left foot over until it's about as far as you can go without picking up the hip. And just take a breath there, feeling it possibly in your IT band. And then letting your hip come up. You might look back over the left shoulder, coming into this twist. Breathing, especially feeling the breath here in the left side of your rib cage. And then maybe the foot comes all the way over. If that feels okay for your shoulder. My left shoulder is going to pick up a little off the floor with that twist. Breathing, and then coming back up. And you might put both feet in the strap for a moment. So you're in an L shape, maybe. You can also bend the knees if you need to. This is an upside down forward bend. It really forces you to be honest with it because your back's against the floor, so you can't round your back. And then bending the knees. And take the strap in your right hand and bend the right knee so you're coming into like a lunge on your back. You can also grab your foot if that's accessible to you. Maybe you're straightening your left leg. Again, if your lower back's really rolling up off the floor, just bend the knee and kind of press the tailbone back towards the floor. So it's like an upside down lunge. You might notice that your foot kind of wants to twist, or just see if you can kind of straighten it out and bend the knee using the strength of your arm to help pull your self into this position, or also just gravity. And just another breath there. And then straighten the leg up and switch, bringing the strap around your left foot and bending your left knee. Maybe your right knee is bent in order to maintain your neutral spine, or maybe you can do that with the leg straight. And you also can use the strap if you need to, if you can't reach your foot. And just another breath here. And then release. And you can set your strap off to the side. Draw your knees in again towards your chest. Maybe grabbing your feet and seeing if you can come into happy baby pose. And then rocking a little bit from side to side. You could straighten your the top leg as you come over and come over to the knee. So coming to the right knee and straightening the left leg. Coming to the left knee and straightening the right leg. So it's kind of an upside down squat. Happy baby. And just another breath there. And then draw the knees in again and rock a little bit from side to side. You might straighten your arms and legs up and shake them. See if you can rotate your femur bones and your humerus, just kind of shaking your hands and feet. And then draw the knees in again. Let's bring the feet to the floor and roll up into bridge pose. Just an easy bridge, so you're not pushing up to your highest bridge yet. Almost like you're letting yourself be like a hammock. So there's a little bit of like, what's the word I want? You're not pushing up and feeling into your glutes. You're kind of hanging in the air, your pelvis. Relax your upper body, and then just roll down. And draw the knees in again. Rocking, and then reach your arms and legs up, and we'll try this where we bring the right hand behind us and the left foot down. So one at a time. Bring your right heel down and your left hand up, back, up and back. So opposite arm and leg. Just hover your heel above the floor and the back of your hand above the floor. A couple more times. Try to keep breathing and keep your belly long. And then draw the knees in and rock a little side to side. And then again, bending your left knee, let's straighten the right leg up. You can just bring your arms out to the sides. Turning your toes out, we'll exhale. Actually, we'll inhale the right heel towards the floor and hover, and then bring it back up. Inhale, heel towards the floor, hover the heel above the floor, lengthen your belly, and then pressing tailbone down, exhale back up. One more time like that. Inhale, heel towards the floor, press tailbone down, exhale back up. Draw that knee in towards your chest. Just moving it a little bit, and then we'll switch, bringing the left leg up. Inhale the heel towards the floor. Hover, press tailbone down, exhale back up. Inhale, heel towards the floor. Exhale, back up as you press your tailbone down. One more time, inhale, heel towards the floor, lengthen your belly. And exhale back up, draw the knee in. And then just making your feet a little bit wider than your hips and your arms up to the sides. Let the knees go side to side slowly. And go really slow, feeling the hips and the range of motion you have in this way with your hips. One more time to each side. And then draw your knees in, and let's rock up. Rocking a couple of times on your spine. And you could bring your feet forward and come into this tortoise. Whoops, sorry, I'm using my phone to record, and I think when I'm making a live video and somebody calls me, it temporarily disrupts the video. So coming to your mat and coming to stand, let's take, if you have a tennis ball at home, take your tennis ball and just roll your feet out for a moment. So just starting with one foot, Pressing and releasing all the way around the sole of the foot. Starting on your right foot, working into the arch of your foot, just waking up the bottoms of your feet and massaging them. And then we'll switch. So just a quick little massage of the bottoms of your feet with the tennis ball, which works quite well. I hope you have one at home. If you don't, you might want to get one. You can do it with your hands too. You can give yourself a nice massage with your hands if you don't have a tennis ball. And so just setting that off to the side and coming to stand and really spreading the soles of your feet on the floor. And you might just open the chest and take a moment here, then bringing your hands together at your heart in this equal standing pose we call Samastitihi. So it's a very even, kind of alert standing pose. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. It's also called mountain pose or Tadasana. So feel how you're both sinking and lengthening up and lifting, and then raise your arms up and grounding down through your feet, through the sacrum, lifting up through the front of your body, up through the pubic bone, through the sternum, up through the crown of the head, finding your breath. Palms can be facing one another. And then we'll exhale, come forward. You could bring your hands to your thighs, just coming forward with this long spine, hinging forward at the hip. Taking a couple breaths here, just keeping your shoulder blades kind of against the rib cage so you're not rounding forward at all. There's a sense of lengthening in your spine. Your neck stays long. And feeling how the weight of your body is distributed over the soles of the feet. You could bend your knees a little bit. And then from here, we'll step the left foot back and bring the knee down, bringing your weight back up and over the left knee. Letting the arms come up. Lifting your gaze, find your breath. Again, here keeping this neutral spine. The head is, there's no strain. Your head is not forward, it's balanced on top of your shoulders. Find your nice, comfortable, deep breathing. You might make a little closure at the back of your throat so that you can hear the breath and use your Ujjayi breathing, or your translated as breath of victory. We use that during our practice to stay focused. And then bringing the arms down. You can take your hands to the right knee, maybe walk the foot forward a little bit. And not dropping in, but still lifting up, but coming a little deeper into the stretch of the front of your left quads, the front of the left thigh. Lifting the heart. And then maybe the left hand comes down to the floor, or maybe a block. If you're at home, you have a block. Opening your chest, coming into this twist. Letting your head come back, opening the chest, maybe reaching for the foot. If you don't have that, it's totally fine. You can just keep the arm up. You can also draw your heel in towards the buttock for a little more stretch of your quads. Nice steady breath and releasing that. And then bringing your hips back, turning your toes up, stretching into the back of the right leg. Keep drawing the hips back, keeping your long spine here. Maybe up on the fingertips. So no rounding forward. Breathing. Maybe point your toes and stretch the top of the foot. And then draw the toes back. You can also kind of move the foot a little bit, feeling into the movement. And then let's come forward again into the lunge, keeping the head and shoulders lifted. And then one more time back, lifting the toes. Stretching the back of the leg. And then we'll step this foot back and come into hands and knees, coming to tabletop position. So the hands are spreading, kind of wrapping the elbows in and pressing into the floor, lengthening up. Round your spine. Let's do cat-cow. Exhale, and then tipping pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Round. Inhale, arch. And then as you round, you might come up onto fingertips even. Let your head drop. And then draw the hips back towards the heels, coming into a child's pose. Taking a breath here, bringing your forehead down to the floor. And then from there, scooch forward onto forearms for Sphinx pose. So your arms are shoulder width. Your elbows could be a little bit in front of your shoulders. And there's a sense like you're dragging your belly forward and opening the chest, keeping your neck kind of neutral, comfortable. You could turn the head a little. Maybe look back behind you, over one shoulder and the other. And then sweeping your arms back, keeping the tops of your feet on the floor, clasping hands and rolling up. And if it feels good, you could roll onto your side, coming onto your left side. Feeling the shoulder blades. Right shoulder blades sliding down the rib cage. Rolling back onto your belly. And over to the right side. Breathing. And then back onto your belly and just make a little shelf with your arms and rock the hips a little bit side to side. Take a couple breaths into your belly. Feel your belly expand and contract against the floor with the breath. And then bringing the arms up to the sides, elbows up, coming onto fingertips. And just rolling up and down a few times. So you don't have to come all the way up to your highest position. Just kind of moving the spine, feeling the unfurling of your spine. The movement, it's like kind of greasing the groove. Your movement should get a little easier after you do it a few times. We're not trying to go to the furthest extent of our movement. So just taking it easy. One more time through. Maybe this time when you come up, just pause for a moment. Lifting belly, and then very slowly coming back down. And bring your hands under the shoulders, tuck your elbows in, coming back to child's pose again. Sweep your arms back and relax your shoulders, letting your forehead come down. If that feels hard, just make your knees wider. Just taking a breath, feeling the back of your body moving with the breath. And then let's come back up. Let's come to hands and knees again. And we'll reach back with the right foot, tuck your toes, stretch into the back of the leg. And then let that foot come up, press back through the heel, toes are pointing straight down, keeping the back of your head lifted. Your left arm comes forward. So it's sometimes called bird dog or tiger. Try lifting the top of your left foot off the floor a little bit. See how much that changes the pose. It's a little harder working the core. And then release it and just circle your hips. You can make those circles just small like this, or you can make them bigger. And then coming back to center, we'll reach back through the left foot, tuck your toes. And just press back into the heel, stretching the back of the left leg. And then letting that foot float up, toes are pointing straight down, reaching forward with your right arm. gaze is just diagonally ahead of you on the floor. You could lift the top of your right foot just a little bit, makes it harder. And release it. And again, circle your hips. Small circles or bigger circles, whatever feels good. Circling the hips kind of off the pelvis, off the rib cage. And then we'll just come back to our, just draw your hips back and come up. And we're going to step the left foot forward. So we're going to come into the lunge. We'll have the weight over the right knee. Let your arms come up, lifting your gaze. So all of the weight is back over the right leg and knee. Breathing. Letting the shoulders kind of relax, even as you're reaching. One more breath, and then bringing the hands down to that knee as you come forward a little bit with your left foot. Sometimes helps to have a little engagement in the glutes as you come forward, so you're not coming too deep into the hip. You're still lifting up and supporting the hip with the strength around it. Breathing. And then just bringing the right hand down, lifting the left arm up, opening up into the twist, letting your head kind of come back so you're not forward. You're opening the chest, maybe reaching for the foot with your hand, reaching for the back foot, maybe drawing heel in towards the buttocks for a deeper quad stretch. It's totally fine to stay in the twist. And then bringing that hand down, drawing the hips back, turning your toes up, and breathing, feeling that whole stretch all the way up the back of the left leg. Maybe a little rocking side to side, maybe a little point and flex of the foot. And then coming forward, keeping your shoulders and head lifted, maybe on the fingertips, into the lunge. And then back one more time, turning toes up. And then coming forward and just making your way to a forward bend. So stepping forward, using the core muscles to help you get there. Knees can be bent quite a bit, keeping this long spine. And steady breath. And then sweeping the arms up, lengthening up. Notice how the weight of your body is kind of distributed over the soles of the feet. You might be back in the heels or forward in the balls of the feet. And then hands together at the heart. Taking a breath or two here. And let's do that again. Let's sweep the arms up. And come forward into your forward bend. Lengthening the spine. And then bending the knees a little bit. Pick up your left foot, bending your left knee, and step it back. So you're coming into the lunge, sweeping the arms up, the back knee bends so that the pelvis can be neutral. Back heel's lifted. Hips are square. So strong legs, just another breath here. This time let's bring the hands down and let's step back to downward dog. You can always come to prayer pose if you want. So spread your hands. You might bend into one knee and the other. Maybe dipping your shoulder on the same side. And then just come back to center and we'll exhale, come forward into plank pose. So that could be with the knees down or lifted. Elbows by your sides, coming all the way down to the floor and sweeping the arms back. This time lifting toes, coming into locust pose. Taking a couple breaths here. And release. Keeping the elbows tucked in, coming back up to downward dog. Maybe here in your down dog, you can step your right foot up and over the left, lifting your right hip. So you're lifting your right hip up and away from the rib cage, lengthening your right waistline. And then back through center, stepping the left foot up and over, bringing the sole of your left foot down, lifting your left hip. Again, up and away from the rib cage. And then back to center. And then let's bend your right knee. Try to keep, actually it's going to be your left knee. Try to keep lifting it as you come forward into your lunge on the other side. So those are difficult transitions. Taking a couple breaths, keeping the back knee bent. And thinking about how you're going to step forward gracefully into your forward bend. One more breath here, and then we'll step forward using the core muscles to do that, coming forward. Again, hinging forward at the hip. And then sweeping the arms out and up, lengthening up, and hands together at the heart. Pausing for a moment. Let's do a few one-legged balance poses. So I'm going to set the mat off to the side for this. So let's stand on the right foot. And let's just start by lifting the left foot, keeping your knees together, staying in this with this neutral spine, lengthening up, and noticing if your left hip kind of wants to drop. So keep your hips, there's kind of like a evenness to the hips. Finding your steady gaze. I'm going to turn this way. And then draw that knee up. And straighten the leg, and bend the knee. Straighten and bend. One more time. Straighten. You could try to hold it out for a moment, keeping the hips in that same level position. Bend the knee and bring the foot down. And then you can just bend your knees and circle your knees, ankles, toes, hips in one direction and the other. Kind of resetting yourself. Then we'll stand on the left foot, keeping that kind of openness in the chest and the length in the spine, lifting your right foot, knees stay together. Finding your breath and your steady gaze. Again, watching for your hip to drop, so keeping the hips nice and level. And then lift the right knee up. So your upper body doesn't move at all, just your leg. Straighten and bend and straighten and bend. One more time. This time try to hold your straight leg out, keeping the same sense that your hips are level, and release. And circling your hips and your ankles, knees and toes in one direction and the other. And then let's just let the arms hang and do a little twist. See if you can let your arms be dead weight. And coming back to center. And let's try tree pose. So we'll start standing on the right foot. We'll lift the left foot up and bring the sole of your left foot, into the inner thigh of the right leg. Again, hips stay level. If that's not possible with the foot up that high, just bring it down lower. Couple arm options. You could bring the arms up, lift your gaze. Sometimes we like to bring the left hand down, maybe to the shin or to the thigh, And the right hand back to grab the arm like this. So you're opening up the shoulder a bit and just staying really stable, taking a few breaths. Really helps to work with your gaze when you're balancing. So finding something that's not moving in front of you and finding that kind of gaze where you sort of stare right through it. And then release. Again, circling your knees and your hips and toes and ankles. And then we'll come to stand on the left foot, and we'll bring the right foot into the sole of the right foot into the inner thigh, or maybe down lower, depending. So we're opening up the front of the hips, kind of like a book. There's a lot of engagement in your standing leg. And then the arms can come up, or maybe that bound position that you had. If you did that on the other side. And just taking a few breaths. Some people can reach for their shin. That's not really comfortable for me. So I bring my hand to my thigh. And there's that sense that you're kind of pressing the sole of your foot into your thigh and your thigh back into the sole of the foot. So there's this strength right up the center. Just another breath. And release it again and circle. I know not everybody has a bar in their house, but most of us have a wall. So I'm just going to turn this a little bit. So coming to the wall and bringing your right hand back behind you a little bit down from the shoulder. And we're kind of turning away so that we're getting a stretch in the front of the right chest. You can feel your shoulder blade sliding down, kind of pressing into the rib cage. And you're breathing. Relax the jaw, keeping the head balanced so you're not dropping the head forward. And then turning, and we'll bring the left hand back. Bring it down a little from the shoulder, but you're pretty close to the wall. And then you're just opening the front of the chest on the left side. Just another breath or two there. You don't have to have a whole wall. You could just do it in a doorway also. It's nice to have the wall, but... And then unwinding and using the wall. Bring your hands to the wall, spread your hands and walk your feet back. So you're kind of like in a downward dog position, but you have your hands on the wall. So notice how the tendency is to let the head drop. Instead, keep it lifted so the neck stays long. So stretching into the shoulders. Just another breath there. And then coming back up. Now you're facing the wall. Try bringing the sole of your left foot up onto the wall. You may have to kind of figure out the right distance. And your hips are staying square. So taking a couple breaths here, and then we'll take a twist. So bring the right hand to the outside of your left leg. You're opening the chest, opening the palm of your left hand to let the left shoulder blade slide. Nice steady breath. And then bend your left knee. So if you can kind of come into like a lunge against the wall. And step back, and then we'll bring the right foot up onto the wall. Opening the chest. Breathing, letting your right palm be open, right right shoulder blade slides. And then turning back to face the wall, bending that knee so you're coming into, maybe you reach behind the thigh, you're just kind of coming into a lunge position on the wall. And then stepping off, coming back into that downward dog here. So you might be up a little bit higher with the hands on the shins or on the thighs, or you might be able to use the wall to get some leverage to come into a forward bend. Maybe feels good to let my head hang a little. And then we'll come back up. And one more thing with the wall. So we're gonna try like a warrior 3 type pose with a foot on the wall. So standing on your left leg, you're gonna be about a leg's length. You might have to kind of measure that. You're gonna step your right foot up. So now we're kind of doing the opposite thing, just different, same thing, different relationship to gravity. So pressing the sole of your foot into the wall, kind of using that to draw your left hip back, keeping the sacrum level, taking a couple breaths there. And of course we do this with the bar as well. And then maybe you're opening into the twist. Bring the left hand back to the sacrum. You might be up on your fingertips or on a block. So you're just turning your spine, opening up, and then bring the hand back down, and then turn and come into this half moon pose. So the sole of the foot, the toes point forward on the wall. And you're just spinning. Again, it might be nice to have a block under your left hand. You're opening your chest, keeping long through both sides of your torso, long through the neck, half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Bringing your left hand down and stepping off the wall, just come into a forward bend or maybe a squat. And just take a moment. Squat might be too much without a lift under the heels or something to support you. You could just come into a forward bend. Try to find your breath. And then we'll come up again. This time we're going to bring our left foot to the wall. Starting with your fingertips on the floor or on some books or blocks or something. So feel how this right hip is drawing back. So you're lengthening through both sides of the torso. You bend your right knee a little bit, keeping sacrum level, and then twisting. So right hand could come back to sacrum, opening the chest. A block could be handy underneath your left hand. And then turning back down, and then the toes of your left foot will point forward, coming into this half moon with your foot on the wall. Opening up, again, lengthening through both sides of your torso. Keeping the neck long, and release. And just step off the wall, coming again, maybe into a squat, or into forward bend. And then let's come into prayer pose. I'm going to move away from the wall. So coming into prayer with your hips lifted, reaching forward, broadening in the middle of your back, lengthening your spine. Let's walk the hands over towards the left. You can always flip the back of your right hand to the floor. And then walking hands over towards the right, maybe flipping the left palm open. And then hands back to center. Take a pause. And then let's tuck your left arm through, maybe reaching forward with the right arm, keeping the hips lifted. So you're in a twist. And breathing. Feeling into the middle of your back. And then coming back through center and tucking your right arm underneath. And then coming back to center. And just coming into prayer for a moment, back to center. Let's widen the knees. Coming into this frog pose. So maybe the soles of the feet stay close to each other, but your knees get wider apart. So you're staying lifted, your spine stays long. Neck stays in this neutral position, breathing, feeling into the inner thighs. And then you might be able to bring the soles of the feet down from your knees like this. And maybe you can press the ankles into the floor and then release. One more time, just kind of isometrically kind of press the inner ankle into the floor and release. And then maybe draw the knees kind of in towards each other, engaging, and then release. One more time, press the knees into the floor and towards each other, and release. And then come forward onto your belly, and bring the legs closer together, and just let your feet go from side to side. Maybe circling them. And then let's roll on to our left side. And bringing your body, your torso, perpendicular to the floor. And you might have a hand in front of you to support you. Bring your knees forward. And just keeping the body still here. Keep the soles of your feet together. You can lift the soles of your feet up and open and close the knees. Go slow. So you're not moving your torso, it's staying planted in that perpendicular way. But you're opening your knee and you are moving into the kind of the outer range of motion of that external hip rotation. You're feeling it. And just 2 more times. And then release it. You might just kind of massage the back of the hip a little. You could extend your legs. You could try just lifting the leg up and bringing it back down, kind of flexing your feet, lifting up as far as you can without disturbing this position of your torso. So it stays perpendicular to the floor, move slowly with control. You'll start to feel it. My feet are a little bit in front of my body. And maybe the next time you lift that leg up, you could just pause, trying to hold it, balance, and then release. And bend your knees. Just kind of massage a little into the hip. And then we'll switch sides. So we'll come to lay on the other side, or you can roll over. I'm supporting my head with my hand. So again, finding this positioning of your torso, bringing your left hand in front of you. Knees come forward, feet lift, keeping the inner edges of the feet together, lifting the knee and closing like a clamshell. You can also just bring your head down onto your arm, your choice. Opening and closing your knee. Going slowly, so you're not using momentum, you're using the strength of your muscles to to make that action happen. One more time. And release. And you could just ease out the back of the hip. And then straighten the legs. Just bring your feet just a little in front of you, staying on your side like this. So belly's engaged. And feet are flexed. And then you're just going to lift the top leg and bring it back down. Go slow. Bringing it up as far as you can without changing your upper body. Going slowly, opening the leg, bringing it back down. Let's do it 2 more times. And on the last time, we'll hold the leg up for a moment. And release. And then just bend your knees. Maybe a little outer hip pounding, feels good. Then roll into your belly, come up to hands and knees. Let's draw your right knee forward for pigeon. So now we'll stretch a little into those hip rotators that we just used. Coming forward onto your forearms, keeping your hips pretty centered. Keeping the head lifted. So back of the neck is long and breathing. Feeling the breath in the back of the body. Just another breath or two there. And taking some kind of a twist. So that could be just bringing your left forearm across the front of your mat or the floor. Bringing your left hand to your right knee and reaching back with the right hand for your sacrum, opening the chest. You're stacking your shoulder over the elbow and you're kind of pressing into the floor and lengthening up. Opening the chest. And then slowly releasing and just coming back forward for a moment. Breathing. And then we'll just kind of lean to the right and swing the left leg around for a seated twist. So draw that knee in a bit as you slowly let the hip come back towards the floor. That might require you to straighten your right leg to be able to bring your sit bones down and then come into the twist. I'm going to grab my strap. So breathing there in that twist. I'm actually going to turn the camera a little more symmetrical. Oops. Sorry. Hopefully that'll stay. And again. We're twisting. And then you could take your right hand to the outer edge of the sole of the left foot. Maybe reaching back with your left hand. This could be accomplished with a strap also, if it's difficult with your hamstrings to reach for this twist. Just breathing. And then release that. And then we'll keep the left knee forward and we'll bring the right leg back for pigeon on the other side. So again, just feeling for where is your pelvis, kind of evening it out. Taking a few breaths here, you might be on your forearms, long spine. Oh, excuse me, it's getting late. And breathing. Just taking your time to feel that kind of nice stretch in the back of the left hip. Bringing the right arm across the mat, right hand to the knee. And left hand comes back to the sacrum, opening up into the twist. Opening the chest, breathing. And releasing that, come back for a moment. And then we'll lean to the left and bring the right leg around. Again, so your right hip's lifted, you're bending your right knee, and then you're just letting that hip settle back towards the floor. And you might need to extend your left leg to be able to come all the way back to both sit bones comfortably. And then left hand comes underneath your right thigh and you're twisting. So the spine is just turning. And then perhaps you can take your left hand to the outer edge of your right foot and lift the leg. And that could be with a strap like we did on the other side. Your right palm is open. Using the strap if you need to. And release that. And then you're in a seated forward bend. You could bring your hands down and press your hands into the floor, lengthen up. So this is like a it's a seated forward bend is what it is. This pose is called Dandasana. And then perhaps you are coming forward a little bit. If you are, it's only kind of leaning forward with your heart and coming forward with this long, neutral spine. So the tailbone's lifting out behind you, head and shoulders stay lifted. Back up. Let's do a wide-legged seated position. Might be just here that you're going to stay, maybe bringing your hands back behind you, maybe flexing your feet. You might be able to come forward, but if you are, it's not by trying to come to the floor with your head. So again, you're coming into it with this long spine. Your knees up and bring them together. We're going to roll back onto our back and just rock a little side to side. Let's keep the right knee in, drawn in towards the chest. Extend the left leg. Maybe circle your right ankle a little. And then we'll take a twist, so bringing that right knee over towards the left. Just an easy twist. Breathing. And starting to bring ourselves back towards our final resting pose. Rolling back onto your back. Draw that knee in again. Extending the right leg, drawing left knee in. And we'll let the left knee come over towards the right. Extending your arm, looking back over that shoulder. Just settling into the twist, letting it be easy. Back onto your back, drawing the knees in and rocking a little bit from side to side. Bring the sole of your right foot to the floor and take your left foot in your hands. You can flex the foot and just come into kind of like almost like you're coming into a pigeon on your back. And then come back into that half happy baby pose. And release it. Bringing the sole of your left foot to the floor and bringing the right foot up, coming into kind of like a pigeon, like you're going to bring your foot towards your face. Obviously, for me, my foot is quite a bit above my face, and I'm not trying to pull too hard on it, but I'm feeling that kind of pigeon-like stretch. And then coming into the half happy baby. Maybe the whole happy baby, rocking side to side again. And then bringing the soles of the feet together. So you're in cobbler pose, upside down on your back. And then bringing the soles of your feet down to the floor with the soles of the feet together. And just taking a couple of breaths here on your back with your feet together. And then extending the legs and the arms, backs of the hands down towards the floor. So you're coming into the final resting pose, Shavasana or corpse pose. I'm going to come up to a seat, but you can stay on your back and just allow yourself to be heavy and relaxed against the floor, letting the earth hold you to it, cradling you. And just letting your breath come to whatever comfortable, it's probably going to be kind of shallow, natural rhythm. Feeling the back of your body against the floor, the shoulder blades, the spine, pelvis. Feeling the structure of your bones against the floor. All of the softer tissues around the bones settling back. Your belly is soft. You kind of feel a bowl of your pelvis, all of the organs in your belly settling back towards the floor. The heaviness of your head, the softness of your jaw, all of the muscles around the jaw, releasing. The tongue is soft. I'm just taking a couple of breaths, feeling the effects of your practice this evening. Or perhaps it's not evening when you're doing this, but feeling what are the effects of the practice, kind of letting it integrate. Letting your eyelids be really soft and kind of draped over your eyeballs, like little blankets over the eyeballs, blocking out all of the visual distraction. Just feeling the breath gently coming in and out through the nose, the rise and fall of your chest and belly with the breath. Just being very present with yourself in this moment, not being concerned about what's going to happen next or what you did before, so no tripping on the future or obsessing about the past, just being with your breath here and now. We don't really have a ton of control over all the things that are going to happen. We have some control over ourselves and the actions we take, for sure. We're not helpless, but there's a lot of uncertainty, and we have to learn to be present and to live with that if we're going to be free or somewhat free of anxiety. So noticing the tendencies of the mind to start to try to control what's going to happen next, or to plan it, or to kind of obsess over it, and just bring yourself back again to your breath. Feeling the breath, letting yourself feel the sensations in your body. And just a couple more breaths like that. And then we'll bring ourselves onto our right side and come back up to a seated position, finding your long spine. And just allow yourself to settle into your seat, feeling the spine rising up, and feel the breath coming in and out through your nose. So really be sensitive to the breath as it touches the little hairs on the insides of your nostrils. It touches the skin inside, comes back up and down into the lungs. Just really exploring what that feels like in a moment-by-moment kind of way. So having a moment-by-moment experience of your breath. Noticing if you're gathering tension anywhere and just allowing it to just kind of melt away. Taking a few nice, comfortable, deeper, balanced breaths here. Feeling the support as you sit upright of your spine. The integrity of your spine. And then you might bring your hands together at your heart and pause to recall your intention for practice if you set one this evening. Just taking a nice breath there. And you could bow your head to your heart, to your own inner teacher, to your practice, to your higher self or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you for coming and for practicing and for all of your support of the Hatha Yoga Center. Namaste. I'll see you again soon.